Hi, this is Mary Ellen with Portraits of Me, and today I'm going over the books I read in June. Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me. Today I'm so excited to share with you all the books that I read in the month of June. I want to let you know what I thought of them and what star rating I gave them and find out what you think of them if you've read any of them. So let's get to those books. One of the books I read was a children's book, and it was called Breadcrumbs. And this book was about a girl who is best friends with a boy, but they're at that age where normally when boys and girls are friends, they separate because, you know, guys go through changes, girls go through changes, and they're only separate. So that's what's happening to her, or so people are telling her. So her friend, all of a sudden, her best friend all of a sudden changes his attitude towards her, and people are telling her, oh, that's just part of growing up, that's what boys do. But she knows something is not right, and so she decides to find out what has changed him. And so she goes off in search of the answer, because he disappears. All of a sudden he disappears one day, and everyone thinks it's okay, but she knows it's not okay. And so she goes to find out what's going on and to rescue him if he needs rescuing. Very cute book. Such a cute book. I really enjoyed it. I like this book because it was whimsical. It's about an evil queen, or evil. I don't even know if she's really evil or not, but in this mystical forest, I think they consider her evil. She's an ice queen. And she has taken the best friend. So Hazel decides to go after him and rescue him. I really liked that adventure that Hazel went on. I really liked her character. I thought she was really cute. I liked her friend Jack as well. I liked the whole mystery surrounding the Ice Queen and the way she had to go find him. And it was a really cute story, very heartwarming. What I also liked about this book is that it had some nice nods to Narnia. So if you do pick up this book and you read it, try to find those little nods to C.S. Lewis's The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, because they're in here, and it just made me smile when I read them, because I was like, oh, I love that book, and this book references some of those because she's a reader. So anyway, I really enjoyed this book, loved it. Cute kids book, and I'm not sure what star rating I gave it. I wrote my star ratings down though, so let me look it up. I gave this one 4 stars. So this book got 4 stars for me. I'd recommend this if you're going to do middle grade March in March next year. So put this on your list so you don't forget. And then I read Wicked Fox, and I got this book in, is this a Fairy Loot book or an Owl Crate? Fairy Loot. This was in the July 2019 Fairy Loot box. And so this book is about a girl who is a 9-tailed fox, and the way she survives is she has to suck the souls out of men. And she ends up meeting this boy, and of course they grow attached to each other, and they're linked somehow by something that happens in the story. I'm being very vague on purpose because I don't want you to know what it is until you read it. So she decides that she's not going to suck anybody's soul for as long as they're linked, because she doesn't know what effect it'll have on him, and she cares for him. And so she only has 100 days to figure out how to unlink them so she can feed and survive, or else she's going to die. So it says, her life is in his hands, his heart is in hers, 100 days to choose who lives. So very good book. I liked it a lot. I like the character, I like the romance. I'm not a big romance person. And I gave this one, and I actually gave this one 5 stars because I liked it that much. So this had a really fun magic system, and I like the folklore of this book too. I think it's Korean folklore, and it was really well told. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the dilemmas that they came across. I was invested in them trying to figure out how to help one another, and I liked how it was resolved. So a 5-star book. The next book I read was this book right here. This is an Owl Crate book because part of my plan for June was to read books that I got from book boxes. So Wicked Fox was from Fairy Loot, and then The Gwenevere Deception was from Owl Crate. And this one I really enjoyed. I gave it 4 stars. It's a retelling of the King Arthur story, except for this story is about Guinevere. And so you're learning about who Guinevere is and why she married King Arthur. And this is such a good book. I really liked it. I liked the historical references to King Arthur and the Round Table, you know, the story we all know about the sword and the stone. And I liked how this played into that story. So I liked Guinevere. I liked her background story. I think it was really well written, and I think it's a really good book. This one, I believe, is a first book in a series, I think. Anyway, I thought this was a really good book. I enjoyed the storytelling of it, and I would highly recommend it if you like King Arthur tales and the Sword and the Stone tales. So that's this book right here. Gave it 4 stars. And then a book that I got back in 2018, 19, I found at a secondhand store, was an old Owl Crate book, and it is Heartless. So this is the Owl Crate edition, but I didn't get it with Owl Crate. I found this at a secondhand store. And this one's a retelling of Alice in Wonderland. And this was such a fun book. This one did such a good job of bringing the Alice in Wonderland world into the story. So this is like before Alice in Wonderland, and you're learning about the Queen of Hearts. And this is such a fun story. So you're learning the origin of the Queen of Hearts, and you learn about her as a young woman and how her life progressed to become the Queen of Hearts. So even though she was such a sweet young woman in this story, and she loved to bake, that's what she wanted to do, but her family wanted her to marry the King of Hearts, so she's like battling with that. And then she finds out she has an attraction to another man, and she wants to build that relationship as well as do her baking, but because of her high status, baking isn't something she can do. So she's trying to figure out how she can follow her heart. And you guys know how this ends, because if you know Alice in Wonderland, you know she ends up Queen of Hearts, but you're rooting for her through this whole book, even though you know she's going to become the Queen of Hearts. It was heart-wrenching because you wanted her to succeed in her dreams. Such a good book. And I think I gave this one 4 stars? 4.5 stars. I don't know why I gave it 5. Maybe there was something in there that I don't remember, but 4.5 stars. Very, very high rating from me. Really liked it, and I'm finding out I'm really liking Marissa Meyer's writing. The story, I loved it. One of my favorites now, so there you go. If you haven't read it and it's on your shelves, pick it up and read it. You won't regret it. And then a book that wasn't on my TBR, but that I found on Paperback Swap, which I'm going to do a book haul for Paperback Swap soon. This is one of the books that I got, and it is The Night Circus. This is one I've been wanting for a while because I've heard such great reviews for The Night Circus. And then The Starless Sea came out, and I want to read that one. But I wanted to read this one first, kind of to get into the author's writing style and mindset kind of thing, since it was her first novel. Well, I don't know if it's her first like debut novel, but I know this one got like high praise when it came out. So I read it, and I really liked it. I think I gave it 4 stars, but I'll put how much stars I really gave it on the screen somewhere. But this book is about a competition with 2 people who have special abilities or magic. And these 2 people have to compete against each other, but they do not know who each other is, so they're not really sure who they're competing with. They don't know the rules of the competition. They just know they have to compete, and it can go on for years until there is a winner declared by the people who train them. So, very interesting. And this book takes you on a journey. You're traveling through different timelines, which is kind of interesting the way it's put together, because you're jumping from timeline to timeline of the circus as far as where they're going, what they're doing in the competition. But you're also going back in the past and you're just going everywhere in this time frame. But it's not confusing. It's a pretty good story. I think the author did a really good job with all that different time framing and not putting it in like a straight beginning and end sequence. The way she did a really good job where it didn't lose the reader. The storytelling is beautiful. The descriptiveness of the circus and the different competitions they're going through was well written. I could see it all in my head. Very fun tale if you like magic and mystery and well-developed character. So very good. I gave it a high rating and I'm so glad I picked it up. And then on my TBR I mentioned Codename Verity. This is a historical fiction story about World War II, and you're following two characters that their plane crashes in 1943 in Nazi-occupied France, and it's a story of one of them got captured and how she survived, I guess, being captured by the Nazis, but I don't know, because as you can tell I didn't finish it. So this book sounded so good because I love historical fiction. The whole concept of being a captive and telling your story to the Nazis as they're trying to get information out of you sounded very interesting. I just couldn't get into this book. So I got to page 106. I'm still going to try to finish it this month. I'm going to try to pick it up and finish it. But the storytelling is just not grabbing me. The more that I read, however, the more I am getting into the story. So it's just, I think it's the way it's written, because it's written as the lady's being interrogated by the Nazis. So she's writing down her accounts and handing them into the Nazis. And I just think the way it's told by the interrogation technique, I just can't grasp it. So, but the more that I'm reading it, the more that I'm getting familiar with the writing style, it's not as bad as it first was when I first picked the book up. The first 20 pages were hard to get through for me. I wasn't into the story, I wasn't into the characters, I didn't care for it at all. But like I said, the more I got into it, now I'm on to page 100, I'm getting more drawn into the story and I'm learning a little bit more about the characters. So I'm kind of like, okay, I kind of like you guys a little bit now. I don't know if I like them enough to like finish the whole book. I'm going to try to read a little bit more and see what I think. And then if I finish it, I finish it. If I don't, I don't. And I'll give you an update in July when I do my wrap up of all the July books that I mentioned in a previous video. So that's another book that was on my TBR that I didn't finish. And then another book that I read in June was The Wicked Boy. So this one is about a child murderer, Victorian child murderer. So this is set in the 1890s, and it's about a boy and his brother. They murder their mother and they hide the fact that she's murdered. And so when people came to figure out where the mother was, they made excuses. They said she was someplace else visiting family, and they had this ruse up for a little while until the smell of the mother started escaping the home. Very interesting concept of the book. However, I didn't finish it. I got to page 229, so I didn't have that much left. So this is how much of the book that I didn't finish, because all of this at the end are just reference notes. So this isn't really the story. It's just the reference notes of what the author used to write this story, because this is a true story. I liked the overall story of the book. It was the writing that made me not finish the book. So I got to the part of the trial. I passed the trial. The trial was, I think, the most interesting part of the book. And then afterwards, once they were sentenced for the crime, I totally lost interest in the story because it kept going off on tangents about other inmates in the, I'll say in the prison, but it's really a psych ward for, because they considered him insane. But that I just couldn't get through. So it kept going off on tangents that were too long and took away from the main character, which is the boys. But I'll try to finish it in July, and I'll let you know my July wrap up. But overall, I haven't rated the book because I haven't finished it, but if I had to rate it now, I would probably give this one 3 stars because, like I said, I did like the overall story of the book. I did like the writing as far as the beginning and the middle. It's just this ending I can't get through. So I would give it 3 stars if I was to end it now. But we'll see once I finish it if it's a solid 3 or if it goes up or down by the ending. So anyway, that's another book I kind of read in June. So my reading month wasn't the greatest. I did read a total of 5 books for the month of June from beginning to end, but I didn't finish 2. So I did read mostly all of this one though. Not the greatest month of reading, but I'm not disappointed in my reading for the month of June. Also, a lot of these books that I read were highly rated, so that shows you I had a good reading month for the books that I did pick. And that's my video for tonight. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up if you'd like to see more wrap-ups from me. And also, if you're interested in these types of videos, please subscribe to my channel. I try to do a book-related video at least once a week. And as always, you guys have a great morning, day, evening, or night, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!